HYPERCAR Mountain.
Hi, this is Larry Hatch with another episode of HYPERCAR Mountain. And this is the recent finds issue. And our first car today is the McLaren Speedtail, made by Tomica. And I probably better get the 900-pound gorilla out of the room along with the elephant in the other corner. Tomica is the premier Japanese brand of diecast cars and toys, for that matter, I think. And they're affectionately known as Tommies. So for 25 years, I pronounced them as Tomica. Other people told me, no, that's wrong. It's Tomica, like a toe on your foot. Tomica. And others say, no, it's Tomica, like the word meek, shall inherit the earth. Tomica. So a lot of people say Tomica, some say Tomica, but apparently the correct one, and I got this by watching some Japanese videos and a video sponsored by Tomica, that the third pronunciation here is correct. So let's move on. The McLaren Speedtail is a hypercar. In fact, McLaren calls it their first ever Hyper GT. Their other hypercars have been like the 720, the F1 first, the P1, but this is their first ever hypercar GT, meaning kind of a easier to drive gentleman's car. Not so track focused or race focused, but it will do well there too. They've also said it's their fastest production car ever, and that is true. It is a hybrid with a 4.0 liter twin turbo V8, and it's got electric motors as well. So this all produces somewhere between 1,035 and 1,070 horsepower, depending on how it's measured, and a top speed of 250 miles an hour. It's kind of an homage almost to their F1 in that it's got 3 seats with the driver front and center and 2 little small side seats for 2 very lucky passengers. And like the F1, only 106 are going to be made. Currently, the car is sold out, and they were, I think, 2.4 to 2.5 million a piece. So if you could find someone to part with one, figure 3 to 4 million plus. It was released officially, they say, in February 2020, which is when I'm recording this. So I haven't seen a real car yet. I know there's a guy on YouTube, Manny. Boy, I can't remember his last name. Manny. Just look up Manny and Speedtail, and you'll find his process of ordering one and getting one. Should be exciting. The car is not U.S. street legal yet. It doesn't have all the stuff it needs to have, but it'll probably be driven sparingly under some laws that allow people to drive cars on roads for display purposes if they don't exceed, I think it's 2,500 miles a year. Again, if you're rich enough for a $3 million car, you can probably get insurance companies and others to bend the rules a little bit. One of the innovations of it, and there's many, just go to their McLaren website. One of the interesting things is it doesn't have side mirrors. It actually has cameras that replace side mirrors, and those are shown on screens in the car, and I believe on the mirror too. So that's probably going to be the future of cars, given how many side mirrors get knocked off and hit pedestrians and cyclists and whatnot. So, hey, that's the future. The car also has a neat thing. It's got electrochromatic glass in it, and that's like those windows you can buy for your home. You just turn a switch, and it turns it from opaque to translucent to transparent. And this car has that in the roof and in some of the windows, so you can see in or not see in. It's a great looking car, and again, it's called the Speedtail because it's one of the most aerodynamic cars ever made, with that beautiful long back pointing horizontal tail. Our next car is called the Citreon Numero 9. It's actually a concept car, and it's made by a company called Norev, N-O-R-E-V. And I'd be honest with you, this is the first year I've ever bought Norevs. Well, I bought some last year. It's been a year since I discovered them. Norev is a French manufacturer, and they make very high quality diecast cars. The only thing weird about them is their chassis underneath are like a big black slab. You know, they don't make any attempt to show you motor or muffler or transmission details. They're just pretty much black slabs. But what you get above is lots of detail in terms of door handles, trim, grill, taillights. The wheels are just ordinary plastic, but they usually have realistic patterns on them. And this first car is the Citreon Numero 9. It's a concept car that Citroen is making to be like kind of the ultimate estate car, if you will, or aerodynamic wagon. Now, you know, they're going to call it an SUV, but it's kind of like an old estate car, as the British would say, or wagon, and it's beautiful. Look for some pictures of it on the web. It is a hybrid with a 1.6 liter gas, or perhaps it'll have a diesel engine, and then they're going to add a 70 horsepower electric motor to it to give it about 280 to 295 horsepower. That's not bad. It was revealed at the Beijing Auto Show in 2012, and it hasn't been made yet, but I'll guarantee you it's probably one of their future cars by another name. And I singled it out because it's really low and aerodynamic and beautiful. It's only 50 inches tall, you know, like a Ford GT50. It's really low and short. I'm not sure how that's going to fit the SUV market, but it's a sports car SUV if there ever was one. Especially if they offer it over 300 horsepower versions. That would be terrific. Our next car is also by Tomica, and nobody else would make a model of this thing. It's a replica of a Mitsuoka, Mitsuoka Rockstar. Some of you know this weird Japanese company, Mitsuoka. They take chassis of other cars and they make them look like other things. They have like a really ugly knockoff of a Rolls Royce. They also make a car that's a little better. It's called Morgan-esque. It looks like a Japanese Morgan. And then they make this weird Lamborghini thing called the Orachi. As somebody said, it's so ugly, it's beautiful. And I have a couple of examples from Tomica of that as well. It comes in purple and green, and I'll show those in the future. But the reason the Rockstar is an interesting car is that they took the look of a 1960s Corvette convertible and put it on a MX-5 Mazda Miata. So you get that beautiful 60s Corvette look, and they actually did a pretty good job on it without, well, I don't know if there's still patents on it or not, but anyway, probably not. And it's a very good looking car. It came in 50 colors named for U.S. cities. They apparently made only 50 initially, and those were sold out by 2019. None were legal for the U.S., and the car cost $41,000. Kind of interesting. Being on a Mazda Miata chassis, car only weighs 1,100 kilograms, but they put a four-cylinder 97 horsepower engine in it. A Corvette, even that old, with a 97 horsepower? That's kind of questionable. Road and Track did a review of it and said it had 132 horsepower, but even then, I don't know. As you know, some other people have kind of taken 60s Corvette bodies and put them on other cars. Mr. Lingenfelter did that, but he put it on a C7, among other things. So that was a pretty fast 60s replica. The Rockstar is an interesting car, and I think even for Tomica, it's going to be a nice collectible thing. Our last car today is the Pujo Vision Gran Turisimo concept. Peugeot and Gran Turismos have a connection to video games. Not really going to get into that. But there's a very good chance this will become a real car, at least in limited quantities. It's made by Norev, N-O-R-E-V, the French manufacturer. And it comes in bright blue, as seen here, a white. And I really like the white because it's got red markings on the front splitter and grille area, which the real car does have. And there's also a black version. There's actually two versions of the white one so far that I've found. One has a number 16 on the door, so it's more like a race car look, and the other does not. So there's a bright blue, a white with a 16 on the door, or not, and a black. So there's four versions so far. And as I tell you about this car, I think it'll be even more interesting, and it'll prove to be a true hypercar, even as a concept. It has a 3.2 liter V8 single turbo engine, and you're like, yeah, really? Well, guess what it makes? 877 horsepower, 3.2 liter V8, apparently a single turbo. Yeah, and here's the catch. The car only weighs 875 kilograms. So the horsepower and the weight in kilograms is about 1-to-1. As we all know from Koenigsegg and some other people, that 1-to-1 ratio is kind of the holy ratio of weight in terms of kilograms to horsepower. So if you got 1-to-1, especially when they're both over 800, look the hell out. And the 0 to 60 time is 1.7 seconds. You can blow the doors off almost any Tesla like that. The car is very low, only 104 centimeters tall, and it's a really beautiful machine. And I'm really happy to have this and the other Norev examples that I've recently acquired. And you can find them on eBay and other sites. So please give them a look. Thanks.
HYPERCAR Mountain. HYPERCAR Mountain.